Petitions for bankruptcy. Now, these can be initiated by either party. They involve several steps, and either the debtor, the person owing the money, or the creditor, the person who the money is owed to, can start the petition to file that. The one thing, if you owe a lot of money to people, yes, they can try to petition you into bankruptcy, but will that be successful or not? That's also something we'll determine here in this lesson, because that would be totally unfair if they were just able to petition you into bankruptcy. There are different checks and tests that need to be passed in order for them to be able to do that. Now, when a debtor files for bankruptcy, this is voluntary because they're the ones doing it, right? Whereas creditor, that's involuntary. The debtor's not choosing to do that. Maybe they do agree with it, at the end of the day, but that's kind of the term we use there. For the debtor to do that, they must complete and submit a petition to the bankruptcy court. The petition includes information about the debtor's income, assets, liabilities, and financial history, as well as information about any previous bankruptcies. The debtor must also provide a list of all their creditors and their respective claims. It makes sense. The best way to learn about this process is invest in a company that goes bankrupt. I'll tell you, you'll learn quite a bit. I'm not saying I did that. Actually, I did, but not a good time. Not a good time, but you'll learn how the actual bankruptcy system works. Anyway, moving on. If a creditor wishes to initiate bankruptcy proceedings, they must file a petition with the bankruptcy court. The petition must include information about the debtor's debts and the amount owed to the creditor filing the petition. The creditor must also provide evidence that the debtor is unable to pay their debts and that bankruptcy is the best course of action. Once the petition is filed, an automatic stay goes into effect. What is that? The automatic stay stops all collection actions by creditors. So once it's kind of like, all right, we know the process is being dealt with, we know the situation's being handled because we've entered into bankruptcy. This automatic stay, this is a status that you get put on you, stops all collection actions. They can't be banging on your doors, and we'll also talk about that. When can they how can they try to collect money from you? This means that the debtor cannot be contacted by creditors or subject to any legal actions related to the debts listed in the bankruptcy filing. Kind of like saying, hey, we know there's a problem, we're dealing with it, the courts are getting involved, let's put a pause here on everything. Now, the next step is for the court to appoint a trustee to oversee the bankruptcy proceedings. The trustee's role is to review the debtor's financial records and assets, determine which assets are eligible for liquidation, and oversee the distribution of assets to creditors. Keep in mind that a voluntary petition in bankruptcy will be denied if the debtor failed to keep or preserve adequate books or records. That's just another a note that you could see on a multiple choice question. Make sure you're keeping good books and records. If we have no idea what assets you have as the debtor, then it's kind of like, all right, this is a little suspicious. What's going on here? One thing to note as well, like I mentioned, yes, you need a car to get to and from work. Unless you live in the beautiful city of New York, then you don't need to do that. You just got to jump over some rats that are carrying pizza into the gutter. But if you are, let's say, someone who's elderly and you have a very expensive automatic wheelchair, right? That scooter that wheels you around, the courts are not going to make you sell that, right? Not that cruel. You need that to live your life. So just note that anything necessary for medical purposes to get you to work, because again, why is that important? Well, they want you to work again so you can be a contributing member of society. And we'll talk about different instances in which assets will not be seized in bankruptcy. Under Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the trustee may sell the debtor's non-exempt assets. And like I said, something like a medical scooter, electronic scooter, will be exempt. Those things could, from what I know, could be $10,000, $15,000, pretty expensive there. Under Chapter 11 and Chapter 13, the debtor creates a repayment plan to repay the creditors over time while keeping their assets and continuing to operate their business. So you see how some of these bankruptcy doesn't mean, oh, you're completely done, it's over. No, it's kind of like a time to stop, pause, get the courts involved, and say, all right, we want to repay, but let's kind of think of a better plan here. Instead of the simple, I'll repay you 10% a month on my outstanding loan, let's reorganize this. Maybe I pay a less of an amount, but the overall amount increases over time, right? We stretch it over a longer period of time. This is getting the courts involved, because what is a step before this as well? You can technically go to your bank. I'm not giving you any advice on what to do, on how to live your life. But if you've got a lot of debt with a bank, you can try going to them first. Try saying, hey, can we renegotiate this because I can't pay it? And they might totally say, yeah. That's something that does happen, right? We also talk about this, tying in other items throughout Reg into here. We talk about how cancellation of debt is taxable. So if you go to the bank, say, hey, I cannot pay the $10,000 of credit card debt that I owe you. And they say, okay, fine, only pay us $9,000, which I don't know, it's not too much less, but let's just say that's what happens. That $1,000 that they cancel of debt, that is as if they gave you cash and you are paying that debt down. So you're taxed on that $1,000. Again, hey, you see how we're tying all the lessons in here together? Absolutely beautiful. So first, yeah, you can totally go to the bank, go to your creditors and say, hey, can we renegotiate this? Generally speaking, with your bankruptcy, you're going to kind of go there because the courts will act as an intermediary and help you to negotiate a better plan. And it's not like these creditors can really argue with the courts. The courts are the law of the land. That's how it works. Now, after the trustee has reviewed the debtor's financial records, there's going to be a meeting of creditors, which is also known as a 341 meeting. During this meeting, the debtor must answer questions about their financial situation and their bankruptcy filing. Creditors may also attend the meeting and ask questions. Once the bankruptcy proceedings are complete, the debtor will receive a discharge, which eliminates their debts. They go on and celebrate and provides a fresh start. However, not all debts are eligible for discharge, and some types of debts may survive bankruptcy. Oh, we're going to see. You know what's coming. You know what's coming, and student loan debt is not dischargeable in bankruptcy. They are going to get their money from you one way or another. So you got to make sure that, well, I guess by this point you've completed college, but make sure, and I guess by this point you're also an accounting major, but make sure to tell all of your friends who are going into college that they should choose a degree that will pay dividends, like accounting. Am I right? Hey there. Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material. We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.